Now that we've gotten into Reveal Math, whenever you go to your book, you're going to be accessing the Algebra 1 class. And so you want to make sure you click on your class. It'll be the only thing you can click on anyway. Once you get in, it's going to automatically put you into the dashboard. Remember that you have your calendar and some other stuff. This is going back to Tuesday, August 16th, which is when we did this particular section. I could not get it to work on the computer that day because it was out that weekend. And so I just ended up getting the assignment up just barely once everything started happening. So I'm going to walk through the uh, presentation. I'm going to probably do it in a couple of videos, and we'll go through that together. So normally you would go through and grab it off of your calendar. I'm going over to my course. You could also do this too. And then you notice that your launch presentation would be there as well. So again, I am not going to put it all the way up. You should have this previous and next resource information that's down here, and make sure that you can access that part of it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So vocabulary. First thing is this thing called a numerical expression. A numerical expression is just a phrase that involves only numbers and mathematical operations. So for example, if I were doing something like that, I would have, 3, I'm sure it's not writing, 3 plus, hold on. Oh, there we go. 3 plus 2 squared minus 4 times 5 plus 1. Something like that would be a numerical expression. So that would be a numerical expression. And then we have an exponent. I've got an exponent in there. So an exponent would be this part right here, which is this 2 squared, or the squared part that we have. And then we have a base. The base is the number below the exponent, or I guess that's a good way to kind of think about it. I'm going to move this over just a little bit so I can access it a little easier. And so this here is my exponent. This here is my base. So that's what I would have there. This whole thing is my numerical expression. And then finally, if we want to evaluate it, that means what we're going to do is we're going to do all of our order of operations, which is PEMDAS. We're going to go ahead and combine them together, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division. So multiplication and division, add and subtract is our last thing right there. And we're going to get into that in a slide here coming up pretty soon as well. So that takes care of that part. Moving on from there, I'm going to get this out of the way a little bit. So order of operations. So we have to know what the order of operations are going to be. So when we're looking at the activity, it just tells us what we're going to be doing, and knowing how to be able to do that. Now, what's important is that you can come in and you can look at the videos. If you launch the presentation, you should be able to get in there and be able to see it. So it just kind of gives you a good idea of what you can go through. So when we're looking at this, you can see that this is our expression. 2 times 12 plus 3 times 6 plus 10. We're going to do multiplication first because there is no grouping or parentheses. There are no exponents. Multiplication division comes next. So we're going to multiply these two and then multiply these two. And then at the very end, we're going to do the addition. So you always want to make sure you do it in the right order. You do not want to add 12 plus 3 or 6 plus 10. Otherwise, you'll get the wrong number. Okay. So writing numerical expressions. So this is coming from looking at a problem here. So notice here, 6 plus 2 divided by 1 is a numerical expression. Multiplication can be expressed in multiple different ways. So some ways to multiply two things, we can do 2.3, 2 parentheses 3, parentheses 2, 3, or parentheses 2 times parentheses 3. This means multiplication if you have parentheses wrapped around it and a number in front or a number in back. Notice multiplication, or we put the dot there. Do not use the X's. So you have probably gotten very used to writing things out like this. So if you write things out like this, 2 times 3, I'm going to tell you that that's incorrect. So 2.3, 2 times 3. Whichever way that you want to write it out of these is okay, but we're going to be using variables called x, so we don't want to do it that way. Okay. So translating a verbal expression. So when we are going to translate an expression, that means that we want to read it and figure out what it means here. 1 plus 8 divided by 3. So here we have our 1. Here we have our plus. Here we have 8. Here we have divided by. Again, we're not going to use this division symbol. We're going to use the slash or the underline over. And then 3 would be in the denominator. So 8 slash 3 or 8 over 3 is what we're looking at when we're looking at that one. Okay? So I want to make sure that we can do it. So plus means addition, divided by means division, minus means multiplication, I'm sorry, subtraction, and times means multiplication. I thought, for some reason, I thought they were going to be in order. So anyway, so that's what we want to do when we're going through those. So it'll tell us how to do that. We can see our common errors. All that stuff is really important to go through, especially if you miss a class, because I talk about this stuff in class and may not even cover it necessarily on the video, which I will try. But it's a good idea to go through it just to make sure you understand it. Okay. So translating another verbal expression on our own, we have translate 5 plus 21. Notice it's already written in there. 5 plus 21, 5 plus. You'll notice these drop-down menus, which we can change things if we want to. So 5 plus 21 divided by 3 minus 1. Okay. And so divided by 3 minus 1. Again, I would not be using this multiplication. You'll notice in their multiplication, they still use x, at least for a while, and then they tell you not to do it. So I'm just trying to get you not to do it right from the very beginning. Okay, notice you can go down here. If you need any help, you can definitely ask for more resources. Okay, translate a verbal expression with grouping symbols. So now we're going to have grouping. So I want to make sure you understand this. It's important. So if I have something like the sum of, which is what they have here, 2 and 7, that's going to be grouped together. Divided by 4, so it'd be the sum of, so notice here we do 2 plus 7 first, and then divided by 4. Okay, so sum of, product of, difference of, those kinds of things usually will mean that you have to do the operation inside parentheses, and then you're going to do something else with that parentheses in the problem. Okay, writing a numerical expression. So now we have 7 million visitors per year. We have 12,178 adult tickets. 5,684 were entrances to the top. 6,415 were entrances to the second floor, and 79 were stair entrance. Notice it's a different price based on where you go. So if you go to the second floor, you pay $9. If you go to the top, you pay $15.5. If you take the stairs up to the second floor, it's going to cost you $5. So then you want to find out what's the total revenue in a day. Well, it's going to be 9 times the number of these tickets that we have, which is 6,415. Our lift entrance to the top was $15.50. It's going to multiply by this number, and $5 is going to be multiplied by 79 to get our total number of students. So if we look at what our answer should be, we know that it's going to be, again, 2178 is going to be multiplied by 1550. So, I'm sorry, 5,684 is going to be multiplied by 1550. So 5,000, so notice it's either going to be A or C. And then we have 6415 that went to the second floor. Second floor costs, if you see here, $9. So 6415, notice that in both cases we have the 6415, and notice in this case the best answer is A. So of course you can come over here and you can check your answer. It tells me I'm correct, and we can move on. Okay, so next thing is a check. You can go to the writing numerical expressions if you want to do the check. You don't have to do it, but at least it'll give you an idea how you're doing if you want to, and then you can check your answers when you're done. And I am going to move to the next video.